Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Shaun Stevenson Books. I'm Shaun Stevenson, author of the Throne series, and today I'm actually doing a tag. I've never done a tag, but I saw this one on Tom Orange's channel. I really like following his channel for all of his sci-fi fantasy books that he reads. I think they're super interesting to hear about, which ones I might be interested in. So go check out his channel if you haven't. But he did this just recently and I thought, oh, I really like these questions. I think this will be a lot of fun to do. So here I am with my first tag video. And this is the reader problems tag. Like, what are your red flags? Let's find out what mine are. So I'm going to go through the questions and we'll see what my red flags are as a reader. Yay. So question number 1 is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Okay, so even if I had 20,000 books on my TBR, which that's a lot of books. I have a lot of books, but I don't think I have 20,000. I actually don't know how many books I have, but however many I do have a lot of them I haven't read. And here's how I decide what to read next. I literally walk in the room. I look around the shelves. I decide what sounds good today. What am I in the mood for? And then I grab a book and I go for it. Sometimes I always give a book, like I'll kind of skim the first page to see, am I really in the mood for this? And then if I'm not super in the mood, I'll put it back, or I'll say, oh yeah, okay, I'm in the mood for this. Let's go. I'll grab a bookmark. I have this container of bookmarks. Wait, let me show you the container of bookmarks. So this is the container of bookmarks. I will grab a bookmark out of this container of bookmarks. I have some fun ones, including my Page Master bookmark from back in the day. It's one of the characters from the Page Master. I can't remember what his name is, but this one is the little pirate guy. And so I don't like using these kinds of bookmarks because I feel like they bend the pages weird, but I have this one still. But I think my favorite bookmark in here is this one. This cat one that says, "Key smiling makes people wonder what you're up to." There's just so many funny ones. I actually got a lot of these bookmarks at a yard sale one time. I'll have to go through these and show them all to you. But that is my process for picking out a book. I'll go read the first page, kind of decide what I'm in the mood for, grab a bookmark out of my bookmarks thing, and then go for it. All right, question 2. You're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? Here's a secret tip. I don't read books I'm not interested in. So that's why you'll rarely find me posting reviews that are negative, because I just don't read books that I'm like, yeah, I know I'm not going to like that. I generally am a pretty positive person, so I usually will commit to reading some things through. There have been a couple times that I have read through a book because I wanted to give it a 1-star review. Because it was so bad. For an example, I'm so sorry, John Grisham fans, but I could not get into Theodore Boone, Kid Lawyer. It just, to me, it was so boring, and nothing was happening. There's literally nothing that happens during the first book. And I had been so excited for that because I've enjoyed some John Grisham plots in some of the John Grisham films that I've seen, and I thought, well, maybe I'll like a John Grisham middle grade novel when Theodore Boone was first coming out. Didn't like it, but I did finish it because I wanted to give it a 1-star review. I don't know if that's very nice, but that's what happened. But that's only very rare, because usually I read books that I know that I'm going to like. I'm pretty picky. I like my authors I like. I will give a lot of things a try, and if I'm like, yeah, that's not for me, I just won't read any more of it. So question 3. The end of the year is coming, and you're so close but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? Yes, I do. That's why usually December is like a binge reading month for me. Last December, I think I read 31 books, because I was just binge reading books, because that is how I usually get there. Now, last year I actually did pass my goal of my Goodreads book because I set it lower, because the year before I didn't make it to my goal, so I thought I'm going to set it low and then I'll make it to the low amount, and then if I go over, it'll feel like a bonus. So I set it lower than last time. But usually I will binge read, and I will admit I am not above going and reading some board books, because those are books and they do count. in my opinion. Since I read middle grade and YA and children's books, it works for me. That might be cheating for other people, but since I like to read kids' books and middle grade books and YA books, works for me. Question 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? Oh, it's story time. Story time it's story time and an apology. Because there was one year, I believe I was a sophomore in high school. So there was one year, I was a sophomore in high school, I'm pretty sure, when I discovered A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L. Ingle. And I had this cover of the first book. And so I was like really excited about it. I wanted to read the next book. No one ever talks about the other books that are in this quartet, the Time Quartet, but it is so good. I love Wrinkle in Time, and I love even more A Wind in the Door, the second book. I think it's better than the first one. I know some people might be upset about that. But, so I asked for it for my birthday, and my parents got me A Wind in the Door, but it wasn't the cover that I wanted. And I felt so guilty because it wasn't going to match the other book that I had, but I asked if I could return it and buy the other version. And I still feel guilty. So Mom, Dad, if you're watching, I'm very sorry for that still. And actually, it comes back to bite me because now it's like a running joke in my family. Oh, you better be careful what you buy Shaun for books because he wants certain covers. If it's not the right cover, it's going to go back to the store. So some people just give me gift cards because they know that I'm picky about covers. But I really wanted the Wind in the Door book cover that matched A Wrinkle in Time. And so I did go get it. So yeah, I'm a little picky about this. I guess this is a red flag as a reader. Yikes. Number 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? Again, here's the thing. I don't read books I don't like, so I just don't read it. And I wouldn't have read it, even if everyone loves it. So if someone else has read a book that they really love, that everyone loves, and I happen to have read it, then I will talk to them about it. But I don't read books I don't like. So not a problem for me. Question 6. You're reading a book and you're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you feel? Well, let me tell you another little story. Story time. I am not afraid to cry in public. It's fine. It's fine. People can cry. Crying is an emotional response to situations in your life. It's totally fine to cry. I think the book I cried over the most was, this is so embarrassing, Chronicles of the Red King by Jenny Nimmo, The Secret Kingdom. Why did I cry during this book? Well, sometimes when you're reading a book and you just don't expect what it's going to do. For instance, this book I thought was just a fun fantasy story, but oh no, this is a spoiler warning. If you have not read this book and you want to skip ahead like 30 seconds because I'm about to spoil something that happens at the very end of this book. I was reading this book near the end. This is the last spoiler warning. Time to go jump ahead if you haven't. Okay, I was reading this book and I did not expect the main character, the Red King, to have a best friend who was a camel. And camels are my favorite animal. And as near the end, this camel was a talking camel. It was like a magical camel or something like that. I don't really remember exactly. But near the end, the Red King was going to be getting on a boat to go north, and the camel could not come. And so the Red King had to say goodbye to his longtime friend that he had been friends with for a very long time. And for some reason, that just hit me, and I cried. And I remember my sister and my mom were there at the house when I was reading this book back in the day, and they were like, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm fine. He just had to leave the camel behind." I don't know what was going on, but it hit me. It just hit me there, and I cried, and I am not afraid to admit it. So I just am willing to say, yeah, okay, I'm crying. That's fine. And here's the book I was reading while I was crying. So I just told all of you. So I guess that's how I handle it in public. Question number 7. A sequel of a book you loved just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Well, that's not going to happen. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, or cry in frustration? After I've just said that crying's not a problem, this is actually not a problem for me. If I loved a book, like loved a book, I will remember it. I have read some books, like gone back to a series where I liked it and it was okay the first time I read it, and then I started reading like book 3, like I've done that on this channel, and I haven't remembered a lot of stuff, but that's because I only liked it. If I loved a book, like every time a Fablehaven book comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Like the next Brandon Mull book, I'm all about this. I remember all the things, so it's not really a problem for me. If I really did forget stuff, I'd probably just go look up on Goodreads or look on like some reviews on Goodreads, mainly because I wouldn't necessarily go to BookTube, because sometimes people talk about books within a whole series and they spoil stuff from other books like further on that I haven't read yet. And I guess that's like if it's a new book coming out, but either way. Question number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? I actually don't mind if people borrow my books. There are some I do mind. If it's like a really expensive book or a rare book or hard to find, then I probably wouldn't let some people borrow it. Generally, like I am not afraid to let people borrow a book. I actually have a spreadsheet where I keep track of who has what book so I can go back to them later and be like, hey, you've still got that one. Can I get it back if you're done with it? So that's actually what I do if I let someone borrow a book. I really don't mind, because I always think, as I've said before, books are on a journey. And what stage of the journey are you a part of? All right, question 9. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? This is an issue. I have hit reading slumps before where like I am trying to find something to read and maybe it's just not clicking in the moment. I know I'll come back to it. So I actually very, it's like 0.1% chance I will DNF a book. So I usually do get back to books even if I've read like 100 pages in and I stopped for some reason. So what I try to do is I go and I find a shorter book and I finish it. Because once I finish something, then I'm a little more willing to go back and finish another one. I think there's like a little bit of a dopamine piece of that, I guess, like finishing a book and then being like, oh yeah, I'm going to go finish another book and like put it on my Goodreads and all that kind of thing. So I think that's probably how I get over a slump. I go find something real short to read that I know I'm probably going to enjoy, like a Goosebumps book or anything like that. And I just go through it and keep reading. I haven't been in a reading slump in a while, so I've actually really been enjoying reading. So if I do hit a slump though, that's my method. Question 10. There are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? Ooh, that's a great question. Okay, so I usually buy books that are brand new. This is the thing I have noticed. I really like reading used books right now. Like I've been in a huge like retro books phase, and I've been in that for a while actually. I really enjoy retro books and kind of rediscovering old things that I just missed when I was a kid, or I just didn't read, and or I'm coming back to that I've kind of forgotten about and just am excited to like read more of. So I don't really buy a lot of brand new books that are just coming out, except for if it's by one of my favorite authors. So for instance, I did buy the newest Alex Rider book recently by Anthony Horowitz because I love the Alex Rider books. I love Anthony Horowitz. I usually read almost everything that he writes, so I will get it. Brandon Mull is another one. I read every Brandon Mull book, so I will get a new book from him if he puts one out. So I think there are a few authors that I really love, but otherwise I'm not like chomping at the bit to go buy every single book. I am willing to wait for a deal or for a gift card or anything like that. Especially if I have tons of other books to read, I am willing to wait. Plus, I'm such a mood reader. I don't usually read stuff like all right in a row like that. Anyway, question 11. After you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelves before you get to them? Okay, so if it's by an author that I really love, I usually am reading it the day I get it. So like I just got when I got the Anthony Horowitz, Alex Rider book, it was like a couple days later, started reading that book when I got it. Because I knew I was going to want to plow through it and read it, and I was going to be excited to do it. So it's usually pretty quick after I've gotten a book that's brand new, then I'm going to read it. So, yeah. So that is my Bookish Red Flags, reader problems, and all those things. I don't think I have that many red flags. Maybe a couple, but not too many. What are your bookish red flags? Thank you so much to Tom Orange for posting his video and for his channel. It's a great channel. Go check it out if you haven't, especially if you're into sci-fi fantasy books. He does more like adult sci-fi and fantasy books, but I see those Fablehaven books on his bookshelf back there. So go check out his channel if you haven't, and if you would love to do this tag, do it. I love hearing these kinds of things from people, like what kind of book habits they have and those sorts of things. So these are mine. So take them or leave them or do what you like with them. So go ahead and answer these questions yourself. Put it in the comments below. What about you? What are your book reader red flags? So until next time, everybody, keep reading. See you later. Bye.